Hey friends, welcome back to another video. My name is Emma Lefebvre, and today we are starting a new monthly series painting loose watercolor bouquets inspired by colors of the month or even some birth flowers of the month. And then at the end of the year, we're going to turn it into a calendar as a gift for someone or just for yourself. So let's get started with January's and jump right in. Okay, so today we are going to start January's watercolor bouquet. I thought it would be really fun to kind of do one a month, and then if you'd like later, we can put it into some sort of calendar format. I'm probably going to scan my watercolors and make it into a calendar. If you want to do this on a full sheet of paper where you do the florals at the top and then you actually like handwrite your calendar underneath, that's a really good idea too. I thought it'd be a really cute thing to have at the end of the year, either for yourself or for a gift for someone. But that is what we are doing. So I went on Instagram and I asked people what kind of color palette came to mind when they thought of January, and it seemed like the majority of the consensus was blue. So I think we're gonna do like a bluish gray, white kind of wintry bouquet. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to swatch some colors to make sure those are the colors I want, and then we will get into painting. So I wanted to go with maybe some indigo to start. I also asked people what kind of flowers they had in mind when they thought of January, and a lot of people said, I don't know how to pronounce it. Is it hellebore? Hellebore? I have no idea. Hellebore? I'll write it on the screen. And so I looked up blue ones, and there's like a beautiful navy one that I saw. So I think we'll do like a navy blue one, or you can make it like a, what's it called? Payne's gray. And then I want to do some white. So I can either do a really, really light wash. So I just kind of washed off my brush. Do this really, really light blue. Like that, or you can do kind of like a really, really light gray as an undertone, because nothing is actually white. You'll have to see some part of the flower. So here's like a light gray. Okay, and then instead of green, I was thinking of maybe doing some green, but maybe more of like a grayish, I don't know, we can add maybe a little bit of green to this. So let's try some Payne's gray. And then add a bit of like Hooker's green to it. Let's see what color that makes for our greenery. It's a little bit on the green side. Gonna wash it off a bit. Like that for our greenery. You can always go more green if you want. And then maybe a little bit of brown. I feel like a brown might even some of this out too. So some burnt umber, just like little touches. And I like this kind of idea for a color palette. Okay, so this is kind of what I'm going to go off of. It might change. I don't know. I'm going to kind of wing it, but we will play around and see. Okay, so I am painting on, I think this is Canson Heritage watercolor paper. I have my Winsor & Newton Professional Watercolors. And I have my Emma Lefebvre brushes in a size 6 and a size 12 round. We'll see which one I use for what. I don't really know yet. Probably just my size 6. And let's get started. So I'm going to start with the hellebore, I don't know if I'm saying that right, hellebore flower. And I'm going to use my indigo. I want it a bit darker, so maybe a bit more Payne's gray. Oh, and what I also might be using, because the stamen of that flower is really light and white, I'm going to use some white ink on top for the stamen. If you don't have this, you can always use a white gel pen. These white gel pens are really, really great. The Uniball Signo, white acrylic even, white gouache, white watercolor, whatever you have. All right, so I'm going to start with this flower, and I'm just going to start by doing these kind of like rounded petals. Actually, I'm going to take some of that color off so I can get some lighter values in there to start, and then we can add some darker bits in. So we do one petal like that. We'll do another petal like this, and we will make it darker. Just fill it in. Another petal like this. And we can make the one on the bottom here a little bit fatter and shorter so it gives it a different perspective. Like so. And then we're going to do some behind too. So you can leave a little bit of white space in some parts if you like. Just kind of coloring it in there. Make this a bit bigger. Like that and like that. Okay, now I'm going to grab some darker pigment. I'm going to go in at the base and then around the tip and the sides. Kind of let it bleed. Maybe doing some lines for some texture. Make sure your petals are still wet when you do this. If you find that they're starting to dry as you're doing the other petals, add the darker color first before you do the other petals. And this is a loose bouquet, so it doesn't need to be perfect. Don't feel like it does. See how it's starting to dry right there? It's a little sharper. I'm going to wash off my brush, dry it. Just kind of wet up that area so it'll blend a bit better. And then I can go back in with more color. And if there's some lines that just seem a little bit too sharp or whatever, you can always wash and dry off your brush and then just kind of blend them out if you find it looks a little odd. Like so. I'm just adding a couple more lines for some texture. Like so. And I'm just going to leave the center white for now. Okay. Then I am going to go in with some light gray. So just a tiny bit of black on your brush with a lot more water. And we're going to do kind of like a messy rose. It's a little too dark. I'm just going to do some squiggles in the middle. And I actually kind of want it to blend into this. So I'm going to try and work fast so I can get a little bit of a color bleed from this blue flower. Hopefully. It's already dry on the side. I don't know why. I know, because I want a little bit of that color bleed. This petal dried really fast. Okay, grab my gray again. Oops. Just trying to make it as light as possible. Just having a little bit of color bleed in there so it's like really, really light. But I'm using like mostly water. It's just the tiniest bit of color. You can grab a little bit more of the gray if you want and add it to some of the parts. Like so if you want. So I'm going to do that white flower, and then I might even add like a different kind of white. So I might grab a little bit of yellow ochre over here, like the tiniest bit, and do another kind of white flower down here that has a bit of more of a yellowish tinge, maybe like a carnation or something. So I'm just going to do these like squiggly lines again, touching part of that flower. I'm just going to do some squiggles. And as you come out, you're just going to make them a little bit bigger. I know it's kind of hard to see. It's really hard to see. You can add a little bit of peach in the center if you want. But the undertone of this white flower is going to be more yellow. Okay. So I know it's hard to see, but once we start going around with some of the greenery, you'll see it better. Okay, now I want to do some berries, and I'm going to do some of this like dusty blue kind of berry. So I'm going to actually grab a little bit of orangish red and mix it in with my navy. And it makes it like this grayish blue color. And I'm going to do some berries here. And some can touch the flower. You can take some of that color off and make some lighter. You can make some darker, totally up to you. Like that. And then we'll connect those after. I'm just going to try and get a bit more of this yellowish color there. And we're going to start doing some of the leaves. So I'm going to grab some of that greenish blue while hopefully these are still wet to get a little bit of a color bleed in there. And we're going to start doing some just generic leaves like this. Unfortunately, mine have dried a little bit faster than I would have liked them to, but that's okay. Doing some stems like so. Might add a bit more gray or green to my gray and just go back in at the stem and make them a little bit darker like that, just to have a little bit more of a color bleed. I'm also going to do this kind of like grayish, I think it's called like lamb's ear or something. I'll mix my black and my blue, do a really light wash. And for this, you are going to do a line first. You're going to do these kind of like, it's a little too dark and a little too, I want it a bit more blue. I'm going to do these kind of curvy edges. I want it even lighter than that. And I want it to blend into this rose, but that rose is dry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wash off my brush, take a really light wash of that blue, that color of the rose is. And I'm just going to do like just wet up this area just a little bit so it kind of bleeds into it. And there I have that little bleed that I want. Do like a little stem there. Maybe I'll add another one of these, just smaller. It's really rough on the edges. Like that. My paper's drying really fast today. It might be a little bit hotter in here than usual, which can be annoying. Like that. Okay. And then I might do some of those down here. Just making it very loose. And again, you see it's not bleeding into this flower, which I would like. So hold on, let me finish another one over here. And then I'll have it bleed into there. Just going to go around these leaves with this color so it looks like it's behind it. I'm going to turn my paper. Like that. Then I'm going to wash off my brush completely. Grab a little bit of that yellow ochre color again. Just do like a stroke so it like bleeds into this grayish color. Make sure it's the same color though before you do that. I'm gonna add a little bit of darkness. Like that. You can do some like little vines on it if you like. Veins. It's fine. Okay, and I think I'm gonna do some more of these berries over here. So again, grabbing my bluish color. I need my little bit of orangey red. This looks like red, but it's more orangey. So it just makes it a little bit more dusty. I'm gonna do some berries. I'm leaving little white spots for a bit of a highlight for some of them. Like that. We can do some up there, I think. Oops. And just kind of stagger them. Little clusters. Like so. Let's get more greenery in there too. I feel like I'm just gonna add some green. We can do, let's do some, yeah, let's do some greenery over here. I'm gonna do a stem. We can make it more like eucalyptus-y shaped if we wanted to. So make the leaves a bit more round. Like that. Maybe do another one over here. You can add a little bit more like brighter blue to it or something if you want, some turquoise. Lighten it up. Add a little bit of purple in there too. Have some flatter ones. Some really light ones. Like that. What I actually like doing with those is grabbing some burnt umber and then kind of touching the stems so the brown kind of runs into the base of the eucalyptus. Like that. And then grab that color a bit more and just tap around the tip to make it a little bit dark. You can even do like a little vein down the middle if you want. Like so. Let's do some down here. Make it really light. Actually, let's grab some of that, more of that color right now. Tap the base. You can even do a little vein to start. Oops. Maybe the tip. Oh, some of it's drying so fast today. It's so frustrating. Office is hot. A little bit of our brown. Like that. And then just because that stem looks like it's floating, I'm just going to take a little bit of that yellow ochre and just kind of blend it in there so it looks like it's blended out. Okay, I'm going to do a couple more of these darker green leaves. Just adding a bit of purple to my green. We can do some darker or bigger too to really frame it better. They can run into some of the eucalyptus. Touch the base to make it a little darker. You can touch the tips. Like so. It's looking a little wonky, I know. We're going to add some fillers in a bit because it just looks a little odd, but it will look better. Just going to wash off my brush completely and just blend out the base a bit. Oops. Okay. Now I'm going to add some of that burnt umber to the stems of the berries. Just gently touching like that, and you can even do some like extra little twigs coming from it just for little pops of brown if you want. Okay, like that. And then what I was thinking of doing is some, oh wait, I need to do that one too, sorry. I was thinking of doing kind of like a white freesia. So we have a couple more white flowers coming out. So I'm gonna grab this yellow ochre color again, really water it down. And I'm gonna do some like kind of buds. I'm gonna grab my other water really quickly so it's not as blue. Other buds right here, kind of filling up the space. And again, you can change the undertone of your white flowers. You can have it more blue, more yellow. And I'm just doing these kind of like buds that are coming out like this. Okay, and then I'm going to take some green. I think I'm going to switch it up and grab some light. Should I make it like an olivey green? Yeah, maybe. I'm going to grab some sap green. Grab a little bit of this orangey red. That's too brown. Like that. And I'm going to do, oops, I'm going to hit the base of these freesia and let it bleed into them like that. I feel like those could be a bit darker. Let's grab a bit more color. And they dried really fast again. So I'm just gonna, so frustrating. Okay. Maybe a bit of dark green too along the stem. I'm gonna do some up here. Just a couple. And even though it's really light, it will still frame these really nicely. Get our green. I know it's hard to tell that they're freesia. Maybe I'll do like a light little bud here. Some that haven't bloomed yet. And I'm just making it really light because it's not going to be like the focal part of the bouquet, obviously. Grab a bit more color. It's just to kind of frame it nicely. And then maybe some back here. Just in between so it doesn't look so like there's so much white space or dead air, you know what I mean? It's so dry. That. A little bit of greenery there. Like that. Okay, and then any other like little white space, I think I'm going to add some light or dark leaves. So like there's some space here that looks a little dead, here, here. So I'm just going to add some of that green, Payne's gray kind of mix. And we're going to just do some small leaves. So I'm just going to start by drawing some stems. And just kind of fill in that space. And then before we finish, we have to do the center of that flower. Have some overlapping over here. I'm just using the tip of my brush to make these little tiny leaves. Like that. And then some over here, I think. I'll have some coming behind. Maybe some over here too. Okay. I feel like this eucalyptus is really out of place, but that's okay. I might do, you know what, let's just do a really light wash of a different eucalyptus, just kind of make it a bit fluffier on this side. Really light wash. Just to kind of fill it in. Brown. Just a little bit there. Okay, and then I'm just looking at it, kind of going over it, analyzing it a bit. I feel like there's just not enough definition in this like white-ish flower. I'm just gonna grab a little bit more color. It's just a little too much of a blob. Really light wash, and I'm just gonna kind of add another layer of squiggles to make it a little bit darker. That. Can even add a little bit of burnt umber in the center there for a bit of shadow, like so. Okay, and then lastly, the center of this flower, I'm going to do like a neonish green for the center. So I'm going to grab some bright yellow, a little bit of green, and it's kind of like bright color. And then I'm going to take my Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White, and maybe I'll mix it with that. Actually, I'm going to take this like neon yellow here, a little bit of green, and then to make it opaque, I'm going to add my white ink. And I'm just gonna do some long little lines for the stamen. And then some dots at the end. Like that. And lastly, if you want to do any more little bits of detail, if you want, you don't have to, I don't know if I should do this or not, you can do some really, really light lines coming down the center of this flower and at the top maybe for a little bit more texture if you want. You don't have to do this. I don't know if I should do this. Just trying it out. I don't know, but it's totally up to you. And there you go. There is our January loose watercolor bouquet. Thank you guys so much for watching my video. I really hope you liked it and I hope you learned something. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and follow me on Instagram for even more. Have a great day, guys. Bye.